This is the Strong is a Mindset podcast, episode number 134. If you've ever used food and exercise to cancel each other out, let's talk about a different approach. This is the Strong is a Mindset podcast, where you'll learn how to build both a strong body and a strong mind by eating, moving, and thinking. I'm your host, physician, personal trainer, certified health coach, and certified life coach, Carrie Holland. Hey, how are you? What's new? What's good? So, what's good here? We are going to talk about redefining your relationship with diet and exercise today. And I know, just hearing those words out loud, redefining your relationship, I'll be honest, that sounds a little fuzzy. But I'm going to put this into context and show you where I'm going with this, because redefining your relationship with diet and exercise is anything but fuzzy. And I think it's timely to talk about this now, while it's still early in the year, when many of you may be working really hard to establish new habits related to your diet and exercise. So this is a great time to get really clear on what your relationship is with diet and exercise, especially if you've identified some big goals for yourself in the year ahead. This is a good time to decide what it's all about and what it means to you. So with that in mind, let me start by asking you this. Have you ever finished a workout and then later in the day justified a cookie or an extra piece of pizza or a glass of wine by saying, well, I worked out today, I can eat this? Or have you ever thought to yourself, I can splurge on fries tonight because I skipped breakfast? Or have you ever thought, I'll just have a salad for dinner because I skipped my gym workout earlier today? Or one of the most common ones that I hear all the time from clients, I've been following this diet for 4, 6, 8, or fill in the number, weeks. Where are my results? So if you've ever thought or said any of these, and I have many, many more examples that I'll share in a few minutes, then I encourage you to keep listening. This pattern of thinking comes up commonly, and it underlies a transactional relationship between you and your habits. And a transactional mindset takes your diet and exercise and turns them both into things that feel more like a chore or an obligation than something that you truly want to do. And when you have this kind of relationship with your habits, it's going to make it that much easier to quit them when things get hard. And that is why we need to redefine your relationship with diet and exercise. So my goal for this episode today is to help you pull apart your transactional mindset towards your habits and highlight how it might be keeping you from moving forward on your health and fitness goals. I want you to see that framing your diet and exercise choices as a transaction, or especially as a means to an end. I want to help you see that it doesn't help you. And in fact, it can result in you having a very negative relationship with both healthy eating and working out. And worst of all is that taking a transactional approach to your habits can lead you to abandon your efforts when you don't get what you were expecting from that transaction. So here's where we're going today. I'm going to help you understand exactly what a transactional mindset is and how it might be showing up in your life. And I've got plenty of examples to share because this is sneaky. Your transactional mindset often shows up in subtle ways that you may not even recognize. You may not notice it unless you're really looking for it, and I absolutely want you to be on the lookout for it. And then we're going to talk about how having a transactional relationship with your habits is hurting you. And finally, and most importantly, we're going to talk about what you can do about it. I want you to walk away with some important reframes so that your choices related to your diet and exercise are less about a means to an end and instead are about creating a lifestyle that feels good and gives you the level of health and fitness that you're aiming for. So at the heart of it, my goal today is to help you reframe your relationship with diet and exercise from one that is less transactional to one that is transformational. And this is not fuzzy, and we're not going to get all existential here, but instead, we're going to get very real about what your diet and exercise mean to you, okay? And here's why I'm doing this. Here is where this is all coming from. I would not have been able to write this podcast episode 5 years ago. It's only with time and coaching lots of people and seeing this pattern emerge among so many of my clients that I can now put a name to it, explain it, and in turn, help you avoid it. What I've learned from coaching many women and men through this is that having a transactional relationship with your diet and exercise generally leads to disappointment, resentment, and ultimately quitting. It results in not only feeling entitled to outcomes that you cannot control, like your weight, but it also results in a very long, painful, uphill battle with change, where often your one and only measure of success is the scale. Having a transactional relationship with your habits is when you choose a salad for dinner, and the next morning, instead of being proud of the choice you made, you jump on the scale and ask, but did I lose any weight though? It's being super strict with your food and cutting out all carbs or all chocolate, only to get super mad when the scale doesn't budge after a week. Or it's when you take up running and keep increasing your mileage, but instead of being proud of the miles you've logged, you step on the scale and expect the number to be lower. And when you don't see the scale budge, you consider quitting, or you consider adding on even more miles to your workouts. And if you've ever been there, if you've ever built your habits only to think about quitting because the scale didn't move, let's talk about why that happens. Because here is a hard truth. When you tie your actions solely to weight loss, it's easy to lose sight of everything else you gain in the process. And that is exactly the problem with the transactional mindset. It keeps you focused on the wrong outcomes. Instead of appreciating the progress you make, like the energy you're building, the strength you're gaining, or the confidence that you're growing, you reduce it to a number on the scale. And when that number doesn't meet your expectations, it feels like nothing else matters. But here's the thing, it does matter because your habits are doing so much more for you than you realize. So I'm going to be very bold and share something right here, just a few minutes in. My overall goal in the work I do is not centered around you losing weight. Okay? Let me declare it loud and clear. I'm not a weight loss coach. Okay? I am not a weight loss coach. What I do is so much more than weight loss. And while I love to talk about food and eating and protein and diet and exercise and macros and nutrition and building muscle and all the things related to fitness, I do not consider myself a weight loss coach. In fact, I am a life coach. I help you create habits. That is what I am, and that is what I do. I say it all the time. I help successful, busy women take better care of themselves. And we do that by addressing the relationship between your career, your health, and wellness so you can build habits that last. And at the heart of what I do is help you create habits. Now, in the process of creating those habits, you may lose weight. You may get strong. You may build muscle. You may have more energy and feel better. But those outcomes are the byproducts of your habits. And really, what's more important about those habits is that they become part of who you are. They become part of your identity, okay? And that is a big, big difference. So I don't just help you lose weight. That is not what I'm about. Instead, I help you decide who you want to be. That's your identity. And then we build really solid habits to back that up. Because lifestyle change always comes back to your habits. And if you have ever tried to change your lifestyle, you know this. If you have ever really put your nose down and done the serious, legit, hard work it takes to change your habits, you know that this is anything but simple and straightforward. You know that this is way more than eating less and exercising more, okay? Ask any client who has worked with me and she will tell you that changing your habits is no joke. In fact, I had a client say it to me this week. She told me, I have never done this kind of work before. I have never thought about my food and I have never thought about how I think in this way before. I have never dissected my urge to eat something sweet at the end of the day. Eating sweets was something I just did. But now I'm practicing paying attention to it and it is hard. And this is the work I've been avoiding. So I hurried up and wrote down her words when she said that as fast as I could. Because one, it was so cool to hear her identify for herself where the real work is. She was seeing it in real time, that true lifestyle change is in fact about habits. It all comes down to habits. And your thinking is most definitely a habit. And so that right there is why bother. If you want to know why bother with all of this thinking stuff, here it is. True lifestyle change is about changing what you do, sure. But more importantly, it's about changing the way you think. So we need to help you think about your diet and exercise differently if it's going to result in true, long-lasting lifestyle change. Because here's the thing, your diet and exercise are tools. They are tools that can enhance your life and make you healthier and stronger and feel better. And your diet and exercise are so much more than a means to an end of losing weight. So my goal is to help you shift your mindset around diet and exercise from one that is transactional to one that is transformational, focused on the pursuit of better, to a mindset that is focused on feeling good and feeling strong. And this is instead of doing all this work just to fit into smaller pants. Because yes, I can get you into smaller pants, just like any influencer or program or any packaged food system. If you follow the plan, you will get into the smaller clothes. But that will only take you so far if you don't have the mindset to back it up. None of that will last if you have not changed the way that you think about yourself and the way you think about eating and moving. Okay? That is why I am not just here to help you lose weight. Really, anyone can do that. I take a different approach. We will address your habits, but recognize that thinking is going to be the most important habit you work on if you're going to change your life. If you want to change your habits, if you want to change your lifestyle, if you want to lose weight, if you want to build muscle, whatever health and wellness goal you've got, it is always going to come back to the final common denominator of how you think. And when you change the way you think, you will feel better. You will stick with your habits for the long haul instead of giving up on them. And that is my goal for you. All right. So now let's get really clear about what exactly a transactional mindset is. I want you to be able to identify where it might be showing up in your own life. So, at its most basic level, a transactional mindset is viewing diet and exercise as a trade-off, a reward, or a punishment system. It's making the relationship that you have with diet and exercise conditional, meaning you approach your diet and exercise through the lens of, I'll do this if I get that, or I have to do this because I did that. So let me give you some examples of how this might be showing up in your own life. You might be using diet and exercise as either a punishment or a reward, and it often plays out like this. You might bargain with yourself and decide something like, I have to eat salads all week because I ate my weight in junk food all weekend. So at first go, you may not even bat an eye at this. You might be thinking everyone does this. But this is an example of using a healthy food like salad and making it a punishment. You're using the salad to punish yourself for eating French fries over the weekend. And if you do this and bargain with yourself this way, what do you think that's going to do for your perspective on healthy foods like salad or veggies? Well, after a while, you might start associating salad with punishment as something that you're obligated to do to make up for your other food choices. You make healthy food a punishment. Or on the flip side, maybe you've bargained and made a deal with yourself and it goes something like, if I eat clean all week, I will have a huge piece of chocolate cake on Saturday. Or if I'm good this week, I will treat myself with a burger and fries this weekend. So again, at first go, doesn't seem like a big deal, right? But what you're doing in either case is using food as a reward instead of a punishment. You're using food to reward yourself, and it becomes a transaction. You get a treat and have a piece of cake or a burger in exchange for eating healthy. Or maybe you use exercise as either compensation or justification. Maybe you've told yourself, all right, I have got to work out and ride my bike for at least 30 minutes today because of all the pizza I ate yesterday. And that is most definitely using exercise to work off or compensate for your food. This comes up all the time. And please know that it never, ever works. Because one, you will need to ride your bike a lot longer than 30 minutes to work off your pizza. And two, exercise does not cancel out your food. You cannot out-exercise your food, okay? This is very much transactional thinking, and it is a fast track to serious resentment towards exercise. And beyond compensation, you may also use diet and exercise as justification for your food choices. And this most commonly manifests as, I can eat this cookie, I worked out today. Or, I earned this burrito, I ate salads all week. You justify your food choices because of the exercise you did or the previous food choices you made. It's going one for one. I exercised, so I get to eat this cake. Or, I ate this salad, so I get this burrito. No good. And then, last, you may also use your diet and exercise as a currency. This is where you skip your meals all day in anticipation of a big dinner, thinking that you're saving your calories for later. Or if you tell yourself, hey, if I go to the gym today, I can skip my workout tomorrow, you're using exercise as a currency to bargain with yourself. You save it or spend it, depending on the day. And this way of thinking about your food and workouts makes both habits more like commodities to be traded instead of forms of self-care. So you might be using diet and exercise as a punishment, a reward, a justification, a compensation, or even as currency for bargaining with yourself. These are all various shades of a transactional relationship with your diet and exercise. And what happens in all of these examples is that instead of seeing your habits as positive behaviors or choices that contribute to your health and feeling good, they become pawns in a sort of internal exchange. It's like you're bargaining or negotiating with yourself using diet and exercise. And the end result is that your diet and exercise very much become a means to an end. Okay, so now that we've talked through what a transactional mindset looks like and the many different ways it can show up in your life, let's talk about why this is harmful. Let's talk about why taking this approach to your habits is hurting you and can keep you stuck. All right, so first, treating your diet and exercise like a punishment or reward system essentially reduces your habits to a burden. When you use your diet or exercise as a currency, when you use your food or exercise as payment to either fix a perceived mistake or to earn you a treat, that is a total setup for resentment. It's really easy to resent your diet when you use it against yourself, or when you use healthy food as a punishment to make up for any unhealthy food you eat. You'll start to resent exercise when you use it to undo the ice cream you ate last night. This happens all the time and is so common. It's taking habits that are designed to be helpful and making them negative, like something you're inflicting upon yourself instead of something you're choosing to do to make yourself feel good. And how does it feel to inflict something on yourself? How does it feel when you've forced a salad on yourself or when you've forced a workout on yourself to make up for a choice that you made? It's no good, okay? And the impact of this is real. When you have a transactional relationship with your diet and exercise, eating healthy and working out feel less like self-care and more like a system of chores. And ultimately, you end up using your habits against yourself. Why would you want to eat healthy when the only time you do it is to make up for a greasy meal you had the night before? Why would you want to exercise when you use it to undo the cookies you had yesterday? You're not going to feel good going into your workout thinking that its purpose is to make up for the cookies you ate. And that is not the kind of relationship that you want to foster between you and your habits. So often, when you have a transactional relationship with your habits, that's when words like should and have to enter the conversation. And you may think to yourself, I should exercise after all the cookies I ate last night. Or I have to skip lunch today because I ate 2 donuts for breakfast when I plan to have none. And what happens when you see your relationship with food and exercise through the lens of shoulds and have tos? Well, it essentially takes you and any authority that you might have out of the equation. When you think about your habits in terms of what you have to do or what you should do, it implies an outside force acting on you. When your self-talk consists of shoulds and have tos, it's as if there's some other power that dictates what you do and don't do in relation to your diet and exercise. And that removes all of your authority out of your decision-making. And more importantly, how does it feel when you think about your diet and exercise in terms of should and have to? Not very good, right? It is extremely disempowering to think to yourself, I have to have a salad tonight for dinner because I ate a burger and fries for lunch today. It's defeating when you think to yourself, well, gee, I really should go for a run today to work off all the chips and guac I ate last night. And not only that, the mental gymnastics of constantly justifying, bargaining, and compensating with shoulds and have tos, that is exhausting. It takes up so much brain space to constantly nickel and dime yourself for every bite of food you eat and every minute of exercise you do. And this mental mind game can become too much, and it can lead you to abandon your goals entirely. But that's not what this is about. This is not about coercing yourself into eating better and exercising. There is no outside force or power acting on you here. You are in charge. But when you treat your food and workouts like debts to be paid, they are going to feel like a serious burden, which is defeating the purpose entirely. All right? Another reason having a transactional relationship with your diet and exercise is harming you is that it puts the focus on your immediate reward instead of the long-term benefits of creating healthy habits. So it's prioritizing, I get to eat this chocolate chip cookie right now, over the long-term gratification of following through on your plan. It's prioritizing whatever is in front of you in the moment over your goal of feeling good, feeling strong, or feeling healthy. It's short-sighted. And this is instead of acknowledging the long-term benefit of your choices. I've referred to it before as the show me the money phenomenon. So this is where you've been eating salads at dinner for 2 or 3 weeks. And after those 2 or 3 weeks, you step on the scale and you think, all right, show me the money. Let's see how many pounds I've lost. But then if you see that you haven't lost a pound, you swear that it's all a wash and it's not worth it, and you give up on eating salads and go back to eating fries and pasta at dinner instead. And this is instead of acknowledging the long-term benefit of your choices. Because you've decided if you're going to eat salads, someone's got to show you the money. The scale needs to go down. But here's something to consider. While it is totally normal to be frustrated that you haven't lost any weight, quitting your salad habit because the scale hasn't moved is not going to get you there any faster. If you see your nightly salad as a transaction that equates to a scale number and that salad doesn't deliver, you're going to be mad. You might feel resentment, and you're not going to see the value in choosing a salad because it's full of fiber and nutrients. You're not going to see the value of feeling good after eating the salad versus feeling bloated after loading up on French fries. You'll miss out on all the positive benefits of that salad if you are overly focused on show me the money and seeing every salad as a notch downward on the scale. You lose out on the long-term benefit of your habits when you get wrapped up in the short-term game. All right. And another reason to avoid having a transactional relationship with your diet and exercise is that it takes all the joy and fun out of the process. Meaning, instead of appreciating eating healthy foods for the sake of eating healthy and how good it makes you feel, it's all dependent on you losing weight. Or instead of appreciating your run for the endorphins and the runner's high that you get when you're done, It becomes about how that run impacts your bottom line and what you see on the scale later. The fun and joy of the process gets entirely lost in the transaction. So when you use exercise or eating healthy as a punishment or as a way to earn food or as a way to fix your other choices, you reduce your workout and you reduce your eating to a task. And when eating and moving are reduced to tasks, that strips away the joy and the good that you get from taking care of yourself. So I may sound like a huge nerd when I say this, but I've outed my nerdiness plenty of times on podcasts before. But it feels good to take care of yourself. It feels good to eat real, whole, healthy foods instead of ultra-processed stuff from a wrapper. It feels good to exercise and sweat. It feels nice to take care of yourself by eating and moving in a way that supports your health and fitness. But you take all of that away from yourself when you use your diet and exercise as a system of obligations or debts to be paid off. The joy goes out the window, and it makes total sense that you would not feel compelled to stick with any of those habits. Okay? And last, another way that having a transactional relationship with your diet and exercise can hurt you is that it disconnects you from the intrinsic benefits of having these healthy habits in the first place. So let me explain what I mean here. Think about this. When your diet and exercise choices are driven by external factors like guilt, punishment, reward, or compensation, it's harder to convince yourself to follow through on them. It's a lot harder to sustain habits when they're being driven by guilt, shame, or self-punishment. There's no joy in that. But there's also no connection to your workout. It's just a way to make up for a food bender, or it's a way to justify the tacos you'll have later, or there's no meaning to your food. It just becomes a way for you to get into the next smaller size of clothes. When you approach your diet and exercise as something you have to do in order to earn a reward or avoid guilt or avoid self-inflicted punishment, the intrinsic benefit is completely lost. So instead of focusing on how eating healthy food or moving your body makes you feel like more energized or stronger, you're only focused on the trade-off or the outcome, like how many calories you burned or if you worked out enough to justify a treat. And at the core of this, a transactional mindset keeps you from experiencing and appreciating the long-term benefit of making consistent, healthy choices. You may be so caught up in the scale and the numbers that you miss out on the non-scale victories that your habits give you. Things like better sleep, improved mood, reduced stress, more confidence, and an overall better quality of life. You may miss all of that if you're overly fixated on what the scale says. And I know those benefits are harder to measure. You can't put an exact number on improved sleep or reduced stress or a better mood like you can to your weight. But that doesn't make those outcomes any less important. In fact, I think those benefits are even more important than any one number the scale ever tells you. Okay, so now that we have pulled apart what a transactional mindset is, the subtle ways that it can show up in your life, and how it might be getting in the way of you building long-lasting habits, let's talk about what to do about it. So let's take a giant step back and let me help you reframe this. So take a second and think about the bigger picture here. This goes back to what I said at the very beginning. I want you to really reflect on what diet and exercise actually mean to you. So when you hear those words, diet and exercise, what comes to mind? What images and feelings do those words bring up for you? Do you envision misery, sweating, and pain? Do you imagine deprivation, restriction, and bland, boring food? Because if that's the case, it will be no surprise if your relationship with diet and exercise is totally negative. But now, let's flip it. Imagine a different perspective. What if instead, when you thought of diet and exercise, you thought about feeling energized? What if you pictured colorful, real food that tastes good instead of bland? What if you imagined moving your body freely and being strong? What if you associated diet and exercise with health, fitness, strength, and longevity? Because if that's the case, your relationship with diet and exercise will be different and it will be positive. And once again, it goes back to your thoughts. You knew it was coming, so here it is. It always comes back to your thinking. Your relationship with the diet and exercise is framed by how you think about them. So if you view your diet and exercise as a punishment, they will feel like something that you have to grind through and endure. No good. But if you choose to see them instead as tools for taking care of yourself, your diet and exercise will feel like a source of empowerment. So take a second and decide how you want to think about your diet and exercise. Think about the words you use, both in your head and out loud. Those words are important. Those words are everything because they are your filter. If you think to yourself, working out is punishment for the food I eat, or exercise cancels out the food I eat, well, there's your filter. And that is going to impact whether and how you show up for your workouts. Or if you think, fun food like pizza is bad for me and I really shouldn't have this, there's your filter. And when you think that way, you will then go and find all the reasons that your food is bad. It becomes a very slippery, ugly slope. So I would encourage you to pay really, really close attention to both how you think about and how you talk about your food and exercise. Pay attention to the words that you use to describe your diet and exercise, because those words really matter. All right, so now that you're thinking about what diet and exercise mean to you, take it a step further. Think about how you want your diet and exercise to make you feel. Do you want to feel energized and healthy, or do you want to feel defeated and entitled? And here's why I ask this. If you take on a transactional relationship with your habits, it becomes conditional. I eat this food so that I lose this weight. I exercise because I have to work off this cookie. And when this is the approach you take, you may feel entitled to results. Again, that's the show me the money phenomenon. And you will likely feel defeated when you do not get the results that you're expecting. But is that really what you want? So with that in mind, what if instead of thinking about the payout that you get from eating healthy or exercise, you thought about how doing those things makes you feel? Go back to our salad example, because you know I love to talk about salad. So what if instead of telling yourself, I'm eating this salad to lose weight, you practice thinking, I'm eating this salad to feel good? Or what if you got on the treadmill and shifted the narrative from I'm working out to burn calories to I'm working out to feel strong? Do you see the difference here? The difference is huge. There is a big difference between eating healthy and exercising to feel good versus eating healthy and exercising for the sole purpose of losing weight. And the difference here is taking out the transactional nature of your habits. That means eating healthy and exercise for the sake of eating healthy and exercising because it makes you feel good. Period. End. It does not come laced with any expectations beyond that. And that is going to feel so much better than going into your meals or going into your workouts with the expectation of a payout on the scale. So if you're going to take on these habits and try to make them part of your lifestyle, really think about how you want to feel. Do you want to feel proud, energized, entitled, irritated, grounded, focused? You get to decide. So if you haven't thought about your diet and exercise in this way, I would take a step back and simply ask yourself, how do I want to feel as a result of my habits? And here's the big picture takeaway that I want to get across. Your diet and exercise are not just about the moment. It's not just about choosing an apple instead of an ice cream sandwich. It is not just about choosing to get out of bed at 5 o'clock to jump on your treadmill. Those choices, yes, they are important choices, but they're important not just in the moment. They're important because each and every one of those choices adds up to create your lifestyle that shapes your health, fitness, and longevity. And those will last you far longer than any one meal or any one workout ever will. So consider for yourself, what kind of lifestyle do you want to build? And how do the choices that you make about your diet and exercise support the lifestyle that you're aiming for? So honestly, for me in my own life, that is the approach I take. I've said it before, but I'll put it out there again. I don't always feel like working out. I don't always feel like getting under a barbell and squatting. I don't always feel like a salad with my dinner, but I've made those feelings irrelevant. It really does not matter to me anymore if I don't feel like eating healthy or exercising, because my bigger, more important want is to feel healthy. My bigger want is to feel strong. My bigger want is to feel awesome and live to be as old as I can and still do pull-ups. And because of the life that I want, I know there are certain lifestyle habits that I need to stick to. So I don't feel like it is not an acceptable option. And even beyond that, plain and simple, I like taking care of myself. I aim to feel proud of the lifestyle that I've created for myself. And at the end of the day, I just want to feel good in my body. And to that end, I feel better when I eat broccoli than when I eat French fries. I feel 1,000 times better after I finish a workout than if I were to sleep through it. And I do those things with zero expectation other than to feel good. I do not view these decisions as transactions that will get me anything other than feeling good. And I get to feel good because I tell myself that. I tell myself every stinking day, exercise makes you feel good. Eating healthy makes you feel good. I don't tell myself, hey, Carrie, you have to do this to make up for all the peanut butter you ate yesterday. No, it's about feeling good. That's it. So with all of this in mind, here is one more question for you to consider. Why do you want to eat healthy? Why do you want to exercise? And there is no right or wrong answer here. The purpose of considering these questions is for you to get really clear on what is driving your decisions. Are you taking on new habits with an expectation that they will deliver on weight loss? Are you putting your new habits in place because you want to feel better? Are you exercising because you feel like you have to? What is it that's driving your choices? And what I would encourage here is that you like your reasons. That's it. I talk about making your decisions from a clean place all the time, and this is it. This is exactly what I mean. You do a gut check and make sure you like your reasons for the choices you're making. If you decide that you want to change up the way you eat and start eating more salads and less chips and more tofu and less burgers, great. But do your gut check and make sure you like your reasons for doing it. And why does this even matter? Well, I say it all the time, but you cannot beat yourself up into better, okay? Taking a transactional approach to your diet and exercise often comes from the belief that you will like yourself better when you are thinner, that you will value yourself more when you're in the next smaller pant size. But if you've been around here at all, you know what I'm going to say. Being thinner does not automatically equate with liking yourself more. You have to like yourself and accept yourself as you are now before you can like yourself in a thinner body. It's inside out. You have to like yourself from the inside out. It does not work in reverse, okay? So please get really, really honest with yourself and make sure you like your reasons for changing your habits. Make sure you like your reasons for changing your diet and incorporating exercise into your life. Because when you feel good about the reasons behind your choices, it will be a whole lot easier to stick with those habits. When you choose to eat whole foods because you want to feel better, and you choose to exercise because you want to move and feel good in your body, that feels very different from doing those things with the expectation of weight loss. And to be very simple about this and give you the straight up truth, here it is. When you let go of a transactional approach to your habits, eating healthy and exercising become more enjoyable. You will put less pressure on yourself to perform. Imperfection will not be such a big deal because you know that you can make different choices tomorrow if you mess up today, and you're never starting from square one. You start to appreciate the small victories along the way, like better sleep, less stress, and more energy. And you will see that there is room for both healthy food and fun food in your diet, and you will have more balance. And when you approach it in this way, something else really cool happens. And that is, you stop seeing health as a finish line that you've got to cross and start seeing it as a way of life. Really. Your diet and exercise choices are not about being perfect. Instead, the choices you make are an external representation of you showing up for yourself in a way that feels good day after day. It's about appreciating what your body does for you today, not what you want it to look like tomorrow. Remember that your habits are not a transaction. They are your choice and they are a gift. All right? And if you need help with this, let's go. When you coach with me, I will help you unravel your transactional approach to eating and moving so that you choose habits because they make you feel good. And we make them your lifestyle. Check out my website, send me a message at www.carriehollandmd.com/contact, and let's talk about how changing your habits truly will change your life. Thank you again for hanging out with me, and I'll catch you again next week. Hey, if you're looking for your next great read, I've got you covered. Head over to carriehollandmd.com/books and download my list of most favorite reads. I've got 2 collections waiting for you. One is all about work-life balance. The other is a collection of books that have changed my life. I've referenced many of these books in the podcast, and now you can access those titles all in one place. Again, that's carriehollandmd.com/books. Check it out and find your next great read. Thank you for listening to the Strong is a Mindset podcast. If you want to learn more about how to build both a strong mind and a strong body by eating, moving, and most importantly, thinking, check out carriehollandmd.com.